Do you agree first that that though he's not going to hand the car keys to Dak, he's also not going to try and wrestle the keys from Dak at the press conference?
No, certainly not. He's got to come off as the team guy. So I think you're exactly right on that take. And listen, Tony. I've been around him a few times in my life. I'm pretty close to Jason Garrett. He's a true professional. He's a man's man. You would like Tony Romo. He understands the situation and what's going on there. And listen, they got it going. You don't mess with a formula like this. Yes, certainly, as Tony Romo had an unbelievable career, and is he still a really talented quarterback? Yes, but Dak Prescott is playing awesome. He's on fire. He's been clutch, and you just don't mess with the mojo of a team like that.
I got it. Do you, in your heart of hearts, think that Dak is the right answer come playoff time?
I really do. I don't know how many more games of evidence we would really need at this point. If last week didn't settle it for you, then I'm not sure anything will. I mean, he was down 12-3 in Pittsburgh. Everybody was telling me, oh, this is the test. If he can win this one, then he's ready to go. Well, he came back, and then, of course, he was extremely clutch on the last drive. He's answered every test from the point of where Tony Romo got hurt his back in Seattle. His ability to come in that situation in the preseason unfazed was unreal to me, but the way he's handled the whole year has been great as well. Extremely mature, and he adds a different little wrinkle to that offense with him keeping the ball off of Ezekiel Elliott that they don't have with Tony Romo.
But the Steelers' defense stinks.
Agreed. I understand that. They do stink. But regardless, they were desperate. And I think we all, I'm just saying that was the overall theme I heard last week.
No, but I was like, I saw him against Philadelphia. So let's say Seattle in the playoffs. Like, you think he gives him a better chance than Tony, Seattle in the playoffs? Assuming
I don't think it's as big a difference as you make it out to be.
Okay.
I mean, the biggest thing with them and their offense, of course, is the offensive line. This offensive line, like, they're one of the most unstoppable forces in all of football. At any position, at any team, it's the best offensive line I think I've seen in quite some time. I would say it's about as good as the early '90s Dallas Cowboys offensive line. They're pretty much unstoppable. So that's what makes this team go more than anything. And then having Ezekiel Elliott to take advantage of those situations that the offensive line presents for him. I have no fears of Dak Prescott playing against the Seattle Seahawks. He takes care of the football for the most part. He makes some plays when nothing is there. And for the most part as well, he hits all the throws he's supposed to hit as well. So, no, you don't mess with this. I understand your questions. Tony Romo is awesome. He's been awesome. He's never really gotten the credit he deserves. But this is a situation he's just got to sit back and ride it out.
Remind me, when Hostetler took over for your dad had no chance of coming back because he was hurt, right?
No, he did not. He had a broken foot, and that was a shame, man, because Dad was having maybe one of the best years of his career, if not the best. I believe he was leading the NFL in passer rating when he got hurt.
Doug Gottlieb Show at CBS Sports Radio. That's the voice of Chris Sims. You can see him on CBS Sports Network. That had a pregame show. He's on CBS, plus he's the lead NFL analyst for Bleacher Report. Joining us here, we're going to bring you that Tony Romo press conference live in about 10 minutes. Jared Goff today named starter for the L.A. Rams. You are not a Jared Goff fan. So give me what I should look for to know if the flaws that he had in college or the flaws as a prospect are going to rear their head this week with the Rams.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that bothered me more than anything with Jared Goff, and listen, he was a good quarterback coming out. I just was more in favor of Carson Wentz and Paxton Lynch. I thought they were both more talented. Now, I'm surprised they did go with Goff and them being 4-5 and really still in the playoff conversation there. That is interesting. I would love to know if the owner forced Jeff Fisher's hand on this situation. But regardless, I think the big thing I look at with Jared Goff and why I didn't think he ever deserved to be the number one pick of the draft is you have to be able to do things that are not drawn up throughout the week on the playbook or the chalkboard. Are you going to be able to make some physical plays, whether it be your legs or people standing around you like you see Cam Newton, and be able to still throw 40-yard rifles down the field, or just make so many unbelievable throws that a defense can't stop you like a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers? I don't see any of those physical abilities out of Jared Goff. That's what scares me. added to the fact on that you look at preseason film and you really study that down, he was overwhelmed. Not only overwhelmed mentally by the offense, but overwhelmed physically as well. He did not look good, and I think that would be my big concerns with him going into this game.
What's wrong with the Packers?
The Packers, it's the same old thing. I mean, Aaron Rodgers can't do everything. I mean, he can't be the leading rusher on your football team and just carry the team week in and week out. It's ridiculous. You know, that's my big issue there. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in football. I've had a number of top-tier defensive players on my podcast at Bleacher Report over the last 2 years, and I always ask, like, who's the best quarterback you faced? And before I can even get the question out of my mouth, they always say Aaron Rodgers. It's not even close. It's unanimous. Every one of them has said Aaron Rodgers. But, yeah, what is there to really defend when you talk about the Green Bay Packers other than Aaron Rodgers? Oh, run game? There is no running game. They got wide receivers playing running back. Pass game? Who's there to be scared of? Jordy Nelson's not healthy. There's really no speed at the wide receiver position. So for a defense, they're very easy to game plan. You basically just say, hey, let's just sit back, not let him throw any bombs over our head if we can, and try to keep him in the pocket, and most likely you can beat the Packers. That's the big issue with Green Bay.
Feels like Seattle's figured some things out. Now, I know that New England's defense doesn't get after you the way that some defensive fronts do.
Right, Very good assessment.
It feels like, and I think they miss Jamie Collins. He would have been covering C.J. Prosise, which they simply had no answer for him. But it does feel like Seattle's figured some things out. Do you agree, or is it simply just knee-jerk off of two big wins over Buffalo and then New England?
No, I do agree, and I actually just got done watching that New England-Seattle film. And, yeah, you're right, Jamie Collins probably would have helped a little, even in just chasing Russell Wilson down a few times when he was scrambling behind the line of scrimmage. But the biggest thing I'll say about them, they are starting to get something together on the offensive line, opening up holes every now and then. They're still a work in progress. C.J. Prosise, you talked about him. I think he's phenomenal. I thought he was the third best running back coming out in the draft this year. It was Ezekiel Elliott, Derrick Henry, and then C.J. Prosise, in my opinion. He's a great weapon for them. But the big thing is I'll give this guy a lot of credit because I've crapped on him a lot in the last few years. Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, what he's done lately is he's just more formation usage, more motions, more shifting on the offensive side of the ball. It's not necessarily that there's all these new plays they're working on, but it's the way he's packaged them. He's given the defense a lot of different looks the last few weeks, and he's just put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands, who's healthy now, and certainly one of the best quarterbacks in football, like you saw on Sunday night when he is healthy. That's the biggest thing that's going on there. I think they have finally realized, like, hey, we're not going to win the Super Bowl this year running it 30 times with our offensive line like Marshawn Lynch, like we saw in years past. I think they finally realized, like, we got to just put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands, let him throw it 30, 40 times a game, and then we'll see if we can get the run game to come along as the season goes.